I'm back. I'm Laura, and we're going to be discussing questions that came in regard to the video about EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend going and watching that video first. That way these answers to the questions here will make sense to you as well. 2 questions from Agnes. The first one, she writes, I have an outlet behind my bed and have never felt any effects. I don't suffer from headaches or anything. Why would that be? Now, in the EMF video, we did discuss how for myself and for some other individuals, depending where the outlet is, you could get headaches or leg cramps or some kind of discomfort in your body because you sleep for these 6 hours at a time, and those things will start to affect you. So she wants to know why it doesn't happen to her. I'm turning to my husband, who you will only hear because he's recording this video, so that you can get the answer.
There you go. And you can get a very beautiful video of my wonderful wife, too. I do a good job, don't I?
Okay, so let's get to the question now.
Rate this video for the videographer.
The videographer. Ooh, okay, then.
Hey, for the job I'm doing, right?
Yes, well now.
Anyway, that's another interesting question, because one, as they say in Iron Chef, they used to exist many, many years ago, said, if memory serves me right? Maybe in one of those videos about EMF, we talked about how some people don't feel the effects of EMFs.
We might have mentioned it.
Even though they are being affected by it. So, as is mentioned in the question, Agnes she doesn't get any headaches, no leg cramps. The question is, how else is she being affected by it? See?
Good question.
It's not necessarily through leg cramps and headaches. There are many other ways that you could be affected. Is there a tightness in the chest? Is there a tightness in the shoulder or the neck? And if you don't pay really close attention, you don't know. Because it doesn't, after a while it becomes so frequent that you think it's normal. You never really feel the tightness any longer until someone points it out.
Like for me, I used to feel tired all the time, and I thought, well, I just never have enough energy. Doesn't matter how many supplements I take, the exercises, the food I eat, I'll just always be tired. But that's not the case.
Do you always feel tired now?
No.
Oh, okay.
And if I do feel tired, I let my husband know, because there's something wrong and it needs to be fixed. So
that's a good example, right? So in the beginning, you just felt like, okay, this is normal.
I'm just going to live the rest of my life this way.
But once it was removed, then you can tell the difference. So when it happens again, you know immediately.
Right.
So we don't know how Agnes is being affected by EMF coming from that wall socket. But if she really pays attention to her body, she'll be able to tell that either she's not affected because she's not that sensitive, or even though she's not that sensitive, she can tell that there's something that normally happens to her, that it's there, and every now and again it gives a little bit of trouble, but not all the time.
And it's not so that she's not sensitive to not be affected. It's she's not sensitive enough to figure it out, maybe. That's what's correct. Happening to her, because something is happening. You just don't realize it because you may not be that sensitive and be paying that much attention to what's happening with you.
That's correct. And sometimes you have to get a whole big dose of it first, right? And we'll get to that in a moment. So to me, that's the biggest thing there. How is she being affected? But it must be to the point where it's been there so long that she doesn't realize that she's being affected. Because that happened with me, with you on the outlet on the wall. Remember, after we moved the bed, then I realized, oh, I had all this tightness in my shoulder.
Right, your shoulders are no longer tight.
Exactly.
Or sore.
And then I said, oh, now my shoulders aren't tight anymore. And that's when I realized that it was because of the EMF from the outlet. Prior to that, I just figured, oh, let me just stretch my arm. Maybe I slept really badly on it. I was always rationalizing it. Right. Without me realizing that's what I was doing.
Okay.
I hope that answers that question.
Yes, that answers that question. Let's go to the second one. I have been very sick for about a week, then went to school where the campus has Wi-Fi and people using computers to take notes. I use a tablet. I felt fine during my first class, but during my second class, I felt terrible. I thought about this video, but now I'm wondering if that's just in my head, since electronics have never made me feel sick before.
Well, yes, the headache was in her head. That's why it's called a headache. But no, that proves the point. See, the reason why she could feel the effects now of the Wi-Fi finally is because her frequency was already low from
being sick.
And so all of a sudden she's like, wait a minute. When I feel fine, I don't feel any effects of this thing. So why am I feeling it now? Because your frequency is low enough that it can attach, the frequency attaches to her and bang, pulls her down even more. When her frequency is high, it's so high that she doesn't feel the effect as much. And that's what happens to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they feel that they're not affected by it until after long enough exposure. Then after a while, something pops up on their body, like a bump or something, or their neck starts to hurt and nobody can figure out why. Then you start to do homework and realize, okay, there's something going on here. What is it? We do some work, we realize it's EMF.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes something like that sometimes, a dramatic drop in frequency of your body for you to be able to tell that something does affect you. And it would be the same thing with the wall socket outlet, wall outlet. When she was not feeling well, more than likely that affected her more because her frequency was low enough that it affected her a whole lot more than if she were healthy. If she were feeling healthier. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. So no, and so from that standpoint, a question about it being in her head, no, it was not in her head. It actually was happening, and it's because the frequency of her body was extremely low because she was not feeling well.
Which made you more susceptible and more sensitive to it.
And that is why when you're not feeling well, you want to stay away from crowds because you're susceptible to the vibrations and the frequencies of everyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not feeling well, your frequency is already low, which means that you will probably feel even worse if there are people there with low frequencies. By the time you get home, you're done because, of where you've been. You've absorbed, you've gotten attachment from all those frequencies that are out there lower than yours.
Okay.
So the moral of the story is when you're not feeling well, stay home. Avoid crowds.
All right. We hope this answered your questions. Please let us know if you have any more.